My namaste to all of you. Here I am on behalf of Pujya Swamiji. He is quite ill and can't move, so I'm here. In our unbroken tradition from time immemorial, there were so many acharyas, rishis who have contributed, and they are like shining link for our tradition. If you study our shastras, one thing becomes so clear. If you read Bhagavatam or look at the lives of Bhagavan Shankaracharya, all along he has mentioned that he could see the time to come, and therefore the tradition needed some changes. People, generation next, needed this wisdom through stories, etc. So he wrote Puranas. As we call him, Dirgha Drashtara. They could see what the time was to come. Similarly, whenever I move around in North America and visit those temples, most of the temples I find have started in 70s and early 80s. Though they were very great shining links to sustain our tradition, I would like to say this, that all of you also have contributed to protect our tradition. Like them, all the executives are really Dirgha Drashtara. You could see the time to come and you started the project. At the bottom of the heart, the Indian spirit was there and you wanted to do something. But when I come to know the history, I find that all of you are really Americans in that sense. More than Americans, that we grew up in a tradition those days where to commit a debt was a big deal. You never borrow the money. But all of you had that courage to borrow millions of dollars for the society. So you really deserve congratulations. And on behalf of Swamiji and Acharya Sabha, I extend sadhuvat to all of you. In Sanskrit, I really mean it. I really mean it. And in Sanskrit, there is a saying, Gajo naiva, simho naiva, vyagro naivacha naivacha. Neither elephant, nor tiger, nor lion. Ajaputram balim dadhyat. Whenever there is a bali to be offered, it is only the goat. And that author says in the last part of that Subhashitam, Daivaha durlabha bhakshaka. So if you are a durbala, if you are weak, then it is bhakshaka. And I am at pains to tell this today, that Hinduism is durbala today. Not only here, way back in our motherland as well. A dharma can sustain itself. Dharma can propagate itself. Dharma can perpetuate if it is a rajyashraya. The government should support it. And that's why Krishna says, Lord says in Gita, Imam rajarshayo viduh. Rajanaha api viduh. They knew what is to be done and what is not to be done. Even Buddhism, it could spread. Just imagine in those days when there was no aeroplanes and no mobiles and no text message and no internet. It went right up to Japan because it had a Rajyashraya. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't know what is the reason, maybe it's a political compulsion, maybe political ideology, maybe it is a vote bank consideration, or even out of sheer ignorance. Back home, our own government forms the policies which are in all the way out to destroy as though our culture, our social values, our religious values. And that being a case, we are left to fend for ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. And that is how so many organizations back home have come up. And I am really happy that you already started networking and you have this organization where you are uniting, and I wish that may this organization become stronger. really appreciate the efforts put in by the executive team and even our young volunteers to make it a success. But as it was expressed in earlier by some other person, Mr. Ravi, I suppose, I hope in the next meet, let us have this meeting in an open ground, not limit to just 100 participants. North America temples have to come together. You see, when I go for such conferences on international forum, you feel I am an orphan. All those other religious leaders, they come, they are supported by the government. They have a backing of the government, they have resources of government, and we have no resources. So if you want to create your voice in America, which is, you are more durbala in a sense. Somewhere or other we have somebody to help us out back home, but here there is, you have to fend for yourself. I appeal on behalf of Acharya Sabha and Swamiji that next time please bring in more temple executives and unite this body. This is very good. One thing I would like to just draw your attention, which I feel I should tell you. I have been feeling that Lekuna, wherever I have visited the temples, I find that a lot of forms are being transmitted even to the children. And as one of the youngsters said, that as long as they come, mom is bringing them, they come. Once they are independent, well, mom, I am on my own, that is it. And we find our own children getting away from the temple. I am reminded of the conference Pujya Swamiji organized way back in 2000. It was a conference of preservation, World Congress for Preservation of Religious Diversity. So many religious heads, which dating 1,000 and other years old, had come from Europe and other places. And they had one question: how come Hinduism is surviving? They were all on the verge of extinction, they were getting wiped out. And so many religions have been wiped out because of this concept of exclusivity. We are the only one to save you. That aggressive nature, and with the backing of the government and resources, they had a question mark: how come you have survived? And we were slaves for almost 800 years. And our rulers tried all the way to destroy us. Even our temples, you know the history, when they remind us, the very sight gives us pain when Ram Janmabhoomi or Krishna Janmabhoomi or Vishwanath Mandir you go, right beside you see something else. And all devotion goes away, samatha goes away, bhakti goes away, the blood starts boiling, you know. These are memories which you don't want. And they asked Swamiji, how come you survived? And somebody wrote to him also. Very nicely Swamiji said, we survived because we are a teaching tradition. If you want to destroy Hinduism, you need to destroy every father and mother, then you can destroy it. Because a family gives the values, family gives the culture, and you have to destroy all the temples. And that part I find a little missing. You teach a lot of forms to children, they memorize so many slokas and they act out in some drama, stories and all that. But the spirit, what the beauty or the strength or the depth of Hinduism is, there is a spirit behind every form.